Are you a homosexual, Clay?
I am. Yes, Mr. Trump, I am.
No, is that true?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But
Marcus, did you know that Clay was gay?
Yes, I did. When we first
Did everybody know this?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is June 17th, 2024, and every single one of you over, let's say, 40 years old, watching right now knows exactly where you were 30 years ago today, June 17th, 1994. That was the O.J. Simpson car chase. I just confirmed it on my phone when I realized what the day was. And I was like, wait, that kind of sounds familiar to me. For me, I was at my senior high school prom at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. And basically everyone left the ballroom of the prom to go down to the bar downstairs so we could watch the O.J. Simpson car chase. And actually it was the New York Knicks playing the Houston Rockets. I think it was Game 5 of the '94 finals, but everyone of a certain age remembers where they were that day. That has nothing to do with the show we are doing today. However, we're going to be talking about the elderly man that is breaking down in front of our eyes and a machine that is running cover for him. And I don't quite think it's working anymore. I think more and more people are waking up. We're going to also debunk some other lies that we've debunked before, but new people are coming around to, and then figure out some ways to push a new set of people into thinking about things clearly. And we'll also connect that to this crazy Caitlin Clark story that we've been talking about, this girl who is in essence the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. She is the hero that the girls who love basketball have always been looking for. And the league and particular players and pundits are absolutely trying to destroy her. So it's a show basically sort of between building and destruction. And I think you guys know which side of that I am on. I didn't mention that we are live streaming on Rumble, YouTube, and Locals. Post-game show, RubinReport.locals.com, about 30 seconds after the show. And let's just dive in. So over the weekend, there was a giant fundraiser for Joe Biden, who apparently is still running for president. We've got some info here from Ollie London. George Clooney and Julia Roberts helped raise $28 million for the Biden campaign during a fundraiser attended by Obama and Hollywood's elite last night in Los Angeles. Barbra Streisand also took the stage, whilst Jimmy Kimmel hosted an interview with Biden during the event where speakers took turns to criticize former President Trump. Clooney's appearance came after he was reported to have called the White House earlier this month during a fit of rage to slam Biden's comments on his wife, Amal Clooney. Clooney reportedly shouted at a Biden staffer over the phone after the president called Amal Clooney outrageous for her decision to push for the ICC to issue an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And the source on that is Fox News. We'll get to more on the specifics of what happened there yesterday, but here's a tweet from Joe Biden. Look at the face. I mean, look at these people. These are the elite of the elite. There's Barack Obama, who's actually in charge of the whole operation. And then there's just Hollywood sellout Jimmy Kimmel. And there is a man who is just hanging on by a thread. He just looks he looks Clay-like, just terrible there. All right. So, yes, Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel interviewed Joe Biden. He was extremely controlled, of course, and Biden had his talking points and his notes and everything else, and obviously was given the questions in advance. Anyway, he did interview Joe Biden during the event.
So it's been almost 2 years since the largely Trump-appointed justices in the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. And
don't hiss. Vote.
They're not booing, they're saying Roe. These threats to abortion rights, to women's rights, even to birth control and IVF are not in our liberal imaginations anymore. They're very real. And these decisions, these very personal, intimate decisions are now being made by 9 unelected judges, one of whom flies his flag upside down. The other one of the others drives around in a $267,000 gift on vacations. And I think we are all wondering, what can we do about this?
Elect me. Again, I'll tell you why. No, I'm not just saying.
The next president is likely to have 2 new Supreme Court nominees. 2 more. 2 more. He's already appointed 2 that have been very negative in terms of the rights of individuals. The idea that if he's reelected, he's going to appoint 2 more flying flags upside down is really, I really mean it.
And just the mumbling and the whole thing. Of course, they kept Obama on stage with Biden the entire time to make sure that in case he completely had a breakdown or flubbed or lost his train of thought, that Obama could pick it up. So Obama was working the crowd a little bit, and Biden can occasionally get a sentence out that sort of makes sense. Yes, it is true that Donald Trump was able to get 3 Supreme Court justices installed. That's how the system works. And if any of them went down today, if one of the justices had a medical emergency or resigned today or anything else, then Joe Biden would be pushing one forward. And then you have to see how the Senate votes and everything else. This is always how it has been. But it's always, I love how Jimmy Kimmel says they're unelected. Yes, well, the judges are supposed to be unelected. They're supposed to be nominated by the president and then sworn in by the Senate, or they're supposed to be then confirmed by the Senate, right? And it's like, that's the way it's always been done. You may not like the games that are always played and can it be done in an election year and all of that stuff. But it's always couched in that when they get the judges they want, it's to save people's rights. And when the Republicans get the people they want, it's to take away people's rights. Nobody's rights have been taken away by this Supreme Court, period. You may not agree with the Roe v. Wade decision. I personally, even though I've told you a million times, I'm begrudgingly pro-choice and I would leave it to the states, which is what the reversal of the decision did. It was not a federal guarantee in the Constitution. There was nothing in the Constitution that said abortion was guaranteed, right? So you kick it back to the states. Things that are not guaranteed in the Constitution are kicked back to the states. That's how the whole system works. Anyway, it's not really, the reason I'm showing you all this is not about the issues up there or that Biden was able to, in this case, slightly answer a question properly. It's what happened afterwards, because they were getting a big applause from the crowd. They had $28 million from the Hollywood elite. And then Joe Biden just completely froze up as they were walking off stage, and watch Obama guide him off stage. Okay, so he completely freezes up. Obama has to grab his hand, the way he keeps his arm on him the entire time. And I think there's something very nefarious going on here. Look, it's been very obvious to anyone paying attention, and I don't think this is a crazy conspiracy theory or anything else. Joe Biden is not in charge. I don't know exactly who is in charge. I think it's the guy with his arm over his shoulder, but I can't swear to that perfectly. But if Barack Obama, let's say he knows something's not quite right with Joe, right? We can all at least acknowledge that. If you really were trying to defend Joe in a situation like that, so there's Joe Biden and he's frozen up, wouldn't you you would maybe just tap him and you could mutter, Joe, let's go this way. But Obama intentionally grabs his arm, holds him, and then puts the arm around the shoulder to walk him out. And I think that's Obama showing people, I am the one in charge here. You are really voting for me. I really believe that's happening. Now, is that a crazy conspiracy theory? Or did Barack Obama himself say once that that's kind of what he would like to do one day?
People would ask me, knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's doing it exactly that way in sweats, but it is fairly obvious that he and his administration and his people are running this far left administration. And I really think, watch the video again later if you want, or we're going to show you another angle in just a moment, actually. But when something about him putting his arm around him and walking him out, that was the signal to everybody. Don't worry about this old buffoon. He's just a sack, right? I am in charge now. I am in charge now. Now, interestingly, left-wing influencers across the internet are running cover and saying that that video was selectively edited and Joe Biden is just fine. I got this from Colin Rugg. Happening now. Left-wing influencers say the following video does not show Biden freezing up and being led off stage by Obama. And here are a couple quotes. David Hogg. For the record, this did not happen and is a total lie. Harry Sisson, MAGA is lying again. The new lie is that Biden had to be led off stage by Obama and that he froze, but that is completely false. Brian Tyler Cohen, right-wing media is becoming so desperate they're just making up fake stories out of thin air. Alex Vindman, rag, propaganda, garbage, pissing into the wind because New York City will still vote for Biden bigly. Rufus Gifford, nothing remotely close to this happened. Andrew Bates, fresh off being fact-checked by at least 6 mainstream outlets for lying about POTUS with cheap fakes, Rupert Murdoch's sad little super PAC. The New York Post is back to disrespecting its readers and itself once again. The New York Post, yes, it's really a paper known for disrespecting itself. That's the one that broke the Hunter Biden story, while virtually every other paper lied about it. Well, here's some more video of the exact same thing that they're telling you you're not seeing. So do you want to believe the mainstream media and the way CNN and MSNBC are going to cover this and Joe Scarborough and everybody else, or do you want to believe your eyes? He completely freezes up. There's no indication that he's going to move again. And then Obama, the arm around him, you know, any of us that have had a grandparent towards the end, like the way he's walking with him, it's kind of making sure he doesn't fall. I'm here with you. Let's go this way. Like it's actually deeply sad if it wasn't for the horrific corruption that is happening right now. And I'm just put a pin in it, guys. Barack Obama is running this administration. He is the source of all of the evil that's going on right now, and he's in on it. And I don't know what law exactly it would be, but when it breaks that they are drugging this man, that a small group of people have known it, and who really is in charge, like some of that is going to fall on Obama. And you want to find out maybe a president who probably should be in jail and he's not an orange guy, it's that guy, probably. Like, I don't think does that sound completely insane to you? I don't think so. And of course, here's the other video from Friday that they're all telling us wasn't really happening. This is, of course, from Italy at the G7. They see the parachuter land. Biden starts wandering off. This video, there's an extended version of it. It's just as bad when you see it the other. And you can see, look, they all know. Look at them all. Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? Look at Macron. He was like kind of looking away, like who should get it? And then Meloni, it's her country. So, and then he just stands there and then look at the slow motion. Like, this is not right, guys. Everyone knows this is not right. Do you really believe that this man is or should be the leader of the free world? Put aside all of the political differences. I would say at this point, every single policy that man stands for and has instituted, I am against. I actually can't think of one thing that I'm not against, that I'm in agreement with him on. But that is not why I am addressing this the way that I am addressing it. He is still purportedly the president of the United States. He is still the guy that sits at the desk in the Oval Office, right? Again, I don't know who's pulling his strings, probably Barack Obama, but I would like the guy not to have dementia. I would like him to come off as strong and confident. Like, even if I was disagreeing with all of the policies, I would want the president of the United States to come off as a functioning human being. That is not what Joe Biden is doing anymore. Everyone knows it, and more people need to just get out there and say it, because they're going to gaslight the high hell out of you on this thing. And if you want proof of that, one of the people that I just mentioned in that tweet from Colin Rugg, this kid, Harry Sisson. He is a 21-year-old kid who has come out and suddenly become this TikTok star for a new generation, and he just loves Biden, and he loves the Democrats, and the Republicans are all racist and everything else. So CNN is now putting him on as an influencer to tell you how great Joe Biden is.
So as a 21-year-old, when you see those things from Biden, how he talks, how he walks, the gaffes, Do they give you pause?
Never once have I ever been concerned about the president's age. I mean, look, there's three things I think about when I think about the president's age. Look, Republicans and world leaders have said that he's fit to serve. Kevin McCarthy said that he's sharp, he's strong in negotiations. President Biden has also had a physical this year and on site conducting exams were neurologists, and they said that he passes exams perfectly fine. And, you know, I refer to President Biden's 60 Minutes interview where he said, you know, watch me in a question about his age. And I'm watching him, and his record is fantastic. And the last thing I'll say is, like, I spent time with the president. I interviewed him, and I was never concerned. He was sharp. He didn't get any advance on the questions I was asking. He gave me really thoughtful answers, and I've never been concerned about it.
It's so weird to be a sellout at that age, like to totally sell out so young. I know a lot of people that have sold out along the way. Like everyone knows sellouts. It doesn't. I'm not even just talking about politics and media and everything else. Everyone in your life, you know someone that sells out along the way, that goes the other way, takes the path less traveled, or no, the path less traveled would be the harder way, takes the easier path, right? Like we all know people like that, but to be 21 and so sold out to the machine is such a weird thing for that strange little child. Like there's something so weird there. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you that is not even to go after him, like, nothing, he's nothing. But that CNN is like, find us a young person who won't really exactly show us what we're seeing with our own eyes. And the funny part is they're showing the video of Biden wandering off and the leaders chasing him as this kid is telling you how he's just so great. I just think he's so wonderful. And I sat down with him and oh my God, it's so great. But I'm telling you guys, this is the thing now. He is breaking down more rapidly every day. It's just how it works. Any of you that have been with a grandparent or a parent, whether they've had Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever it is, or even those of you that have had dogs or cats at the end, when, you know, there's things that you can juice them with so that they live a little bit longer. And then basically it just breaks down at the end. We did a little of that with Emma a couple of years ago, and I regret the last couple of weeks. She had a couple of good days within it, but we probably should have let her go a little bit earlier. And they are juicing him with something, and then at some point it is not going to work. The fact that supposedly, I should clarify that Emma is my dog, not my grandmother or anything else. And then we put her down. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you for the note there. Phoenix really wanted me to clean that one up quick. Rubin killed his grandmother. He's breaking down. More and more of us are going to see it. Supposedly in 10 days from today, June 27th, he's going to be on the debate stage. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are the two moderators. They're going to be running cover for him. Who knows if he'll even make it to that, or what are they going to do, or they'll be cutting Trump's mic. But all of that is just like the mishigas around the thing. And what's really going on? Who is in control? Who is pulling the strings? What are these people trying to do to us while we're watching the old man break down? Well, we'll talk about that in just a second, but let me tell you guys about Gravity Defier. Guys, let me share my recent discovery with you, G-Defy shoes. Let me tell you, they're simply amazing. No, they're beyond amazing. Just look at them right there. G-Defy is a footwear company on a mission to relieve knee, back, and foot pain. As many of you know, I've struggled with knee pain from balling all these years, but from the moment I slipped into G-Defy shoes, the pain vanished. How does G-Defy achieve this ultimate comfort? Every pair comes with free custom orthotics to align your body perfectly. Then there's their VersoShock trampoline technology in the heel, which absorbs harmful shocks and provides positive, renewed energy, empowering you to tackle your day. Additionally, G-Defy has integrated a strong structural system into their shoes that improves your posture and encourages you to walk using your calf and other major muscle groups. Don't just take my word for it. Read the countless customer reviews raving about the pain relief and amazing comfort they have experienced with G-Defy shoes. I, for one, can't get enough of them, and I wholeheartedly recommend them to anyone looking for relief. Experience the comfort and pain relief for yourself. Visit gdefy.com today and use code Rubin30 for $30 off. $150 or more. I just want to say for the record one more time, I did not kill my grandma. My mom watches the show, Mom. I did not kill Grandma. I was in LA. It was in New York. Like, you know, it was Emma, the dog, and she was a great dog and a lovely dog. And you know, even that was rough. But okay, so what else is happening? Because the entire machine is running cover for these people. And the other problem that the Democrats have is not just that we can all see it and they'll lie right to our faces. It's that the backup, the girl on the bench, the chick on the bench is Kamala Harris, and she's awful, and everyone knows it. And for however hard they have to run cover to make it seem like Biden is functioning, Just imagine what they would have to do to make it seem like anyone likes Kamala Harris, believes in Kamala Harris, or anything else. So check this out. This is Steve Harvey, a comedian. It's interesting that Democrats only get interviewed by comedians. Jimmy Kimmel, then we just showed you Stephen Colbert there interviewing Obama. Here's Steve Harvey now interviewing Kamala Harris. This is from PBS. And listen to him admit that he's asking easy questions to her. It's just so extraordinary. But he also was given prepackaged notes. Watch this.
Because you can be president too with a criminal record, so that's a nice exchange. Ain't that bad? You know, look, I've been reading this paper because I gotta stay to the. I got a headache trying to stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions. That ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk, because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for her to dunk. Because they done a lot, man. But we see, I'm on this radio show, I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote? Well, you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I'll go down there.
Wow. I mean, there's so much there. First off, he admits that he got a paper and it's giving him a headache to have to read those questions. So you're supposed to be an interviewer on PBS, public broadcasting station. Who gave you that paper? His net worth, Steve Harvey, around 200 mil. Anyone in this room worth around 200 mil? I know I pay you guys well, but nobody, yeah. And yes, he wants reparations. And he feels that the government owes these people something. It's interesting to me how backwards they have everything. The government doesn't owe you anything. If the government is to give you something, that means it took it from someone else, right? So it took someone else's hard-earned money and gave it to you. What I would want is a government that actually lets us keep more of what we earn. How about go to a state where there is no income tax? And here in Florida, somehow we still have roads, and we somehow still have police officers, and we still have fire stations and everything else. But their whole thing is, oh, government, give me, give me, give me, when the government should be pushed away from your life as far as possible. But they've got everything backwards. But in any event, I show you that her answer doesn't even matter. It's completely irrelevant. To show you the pathetic way the media is operating with these people. Not only was he given a piece of paper to ask her prepackaged questions, then he's like, those are too easy for me. I'm just going to give you a softball. I'm going to give you a layup. I'm going to give you a dunk. So what else are the Democrats doing right now as this election gets closer? Because we see clearly everyone's seeing what's going on with Biden. Nobody likes Kamala. People are realizing what's going on at the border, the economy, like everyone's just seeing the stuff. I don't have to explain that to you any further. But what are the Democrats doing? Well, what they are doing are figuring out ways to replace voters, because they are potentially, as Steve Harvey begrudgingly admits, they are potentially losing black voters. And if you have 90% of a group of people all the time, you don't have to give them jack shit, right? You don't have to do anything for them because they're going to vote for you either way. We've got some info here from Town Hall on the Biden administration's plans. The Biden administration is reportedly planning to announce a new amnesty plan that would allow illegal immigrants to obtain legal status if they are married to U.S. citizens. What will be one of the largest immigration relief programs in recent history. Over 1 million illegal aliens would be protected from deportation and given work permits as long as they have lived in the U.S. for at least 10 years. All they have to do is marry a U.S. citizen. Known as the parole in place, the plan is the Democrat Party's latest move to secure votes ahead of the November election. The plan would also create a way for permanent legal status and U.S. citizenship for beneficiaries by removing red tape in the U.S. law that currently prevents illegal immigrants from obtaining green cards without leaving the country. Think how absolutely wild this is right now. We are all watching our country be eroded. That's the right word for it. It is being slowly eroded like a beach would be eroded by the water over years. And it's being eroded because every day we let thousands and thousands of people into this country and we don't know where they're from or what they're doing, what their intentions are, what their beliefs are, or anything else. And that's to the backdrop of a massive Middle East war. And I don't know, maybe some people that don't like us very much. Some of them are in Congress right now. We are watching our country be eroded, and the plan by the Democrats is let's figure out ways to get more illegals as citizens so they will vote, because then we will give them stuff. We'll give, right, them crumbs, right? We'll get them on welfare, and then they will be hooked on welfare, and they will always vote for us. That is not cynical for me to say. It is just absolutely obvious. Now, of course, everything that the Democrats do has that very thin veneer of tolerance or thin veneer of sounding right. And then when you peel it, there's always something really nasty. There is a gaping wound beneath it. And there has been a whole bunch of very underreported, unfortunately, violence occurring but via these illegals that are coming to this country right now. This one's from up in Connecticut. Yes, a woman was just killed by an illegal alien.
And I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and to every member in both chambers of Congress. We are 1,800 miles away here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and the American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies. This is the second time in just 2 years that an innocent Harford County woman has lost her life to a criminal in our country illegally. Let me repeat that. 1,800 miles from the southern border, and this is the second woman in our county to be killed by an illegal alien. Suspects, in both cases, they are suspects from El Salvador with ties to criminal gangs. Should not be happening.
Okay, so El Salvador, which now, thanks to President Bukele, is basically the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, is sending the bad guys here, and they're killing people in Hartford, Connecticut, 1,800 miles away from our border. Do you think that that police chief giving that press conference right there wants to be doing that? Do you think he wants to be calling out the administration? Basically, I don't know. I have no idea what this guy's politics are. They're largely irrelevant, but I have a feeling as a police chief of Hartford, Connecticut, which I would imagine Connecticut, like generally there's some money in Connecticut. It's largely a somewhat safe place. You might think that you just want to be able to keep your streets safe and everything else and not have to be dealing with the fallout of a border that doesn't exist. But it's not just in Connecticut. This one is absolutely horrific. Some info here from the New York Post. Rachel Morin murder, illegal immigrant from El Salvador charged in rape, killing of a Maryland mom of 5. I mean, look at that beautiful young woman. She is the mother of 5 children. She is now dead. Again, this was an illegal, also from El Salvador. And the question is, guys, who are these people coming into this country? And do you think, as Joe Biden wants to give amnesty to all of these people, and if you marry now, you're in, and 10 years this and all, it just doesn't matter what the details are of the bill. We have no idea who these people are. And then the other thing, of course, is that we have an entire layer of our education system that has been teaching young people to hate this country. We have members of Congress like AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush and the rest of them who genuinely hate the founding of this country. They hate capitalism, they hate America and everything else. And now that is spreading. It is spreading amongst people that not, whether in some cases, people that have come into the country, but also people who were born right here. Check out this video. This is absolutely, well, I would say it was wild, except it's all obvious at this point. This is a University of Illinois student. His name is Mohammed Nusrat. And he doesn't like this place very much. But of course, in this place, you're allowed to say that.
America is the cancer. America, the American government, secularism, democracy, capitalism, these are cancers that have spread their illness all over the world. In America and in the Middle East. In America over here, people have the freedom to, again, like I said before, commit zina, do all this fahisha, but when you speak up, it's a problem. Non-Muslims are tired of this cancer. They're tired of the American government. They're tired of democracy. They want to see a new way of life. And as Muslims, we have to understand that we have that new way of life. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sent as a mercy for all of mankind. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. He was sent as a mercy. Why? Because the way of life he brought will bring that mercy. the way of life he brought will bring that tranquility to Muslims and non-Muslims. Non-Muslims won't have to worry about these issues they worry about now. They won't have to, because Islam is a just religion that has come to be implemented.
Yeah, buddy, how's it going for non-Muslims in literally any Muslim nation? How's it going for liberal Muslims in any Muslim nation? How's it going for gay Muslims or for women in any Muslim nation? But this is now what we have on our college campuses. And obviously that's directly connected to the violent Hamas rallies and everything else. But this kid and now a growing group of younger people, again, some of them illegal, some of them not, they think that liberalism is bad, secularism is bad. And I guess you could just live as a dhimmi. We'll turn America into a Muslim nation and you'll either convert or be beheaded, or you could pay your jizya, you could pay your tax to the Muslim authorities, and you could live as a dhimmi, as a second-class citizen. But there is something good about this. Now they're being so brazen about it. Obviously, these people have had these beliefs for a long time, but now I think post-October 7th, they feel empowered to put this out, right? So they're literally chanting for genocide on the streets. They're talking about killing all the Jews. They're talking about taking down the United States of America. And what's happening is the good, decent people, and that is what most Americans are when you just get through some of the fog, good, decent people are waking up. And we'll get to that in just a second. Let me talk to you guys about fume. Guys, we all have bad habits. And a friend of mine was the kind who thought he was doing well with going without. And then you're out with friends. And then they're all reaching for their bad habits. And you feel the urge not to be left out and asked to borrow one of theirs. Well, what if I was to tell you there's a better alternative that helps you kick your bad habit in an enjoyable way? Something you can take out with you. Fume. Fume draws flavor to your mouth and fills the void ditching a bad habit can leave. It's not a vape. It has no vapor. It's non-toxic and non-addictive. You also won't ever have to charge it. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be the next. For a limited time, use my code Rubin and get a free gift with your journey pack. Head over to tryfume, TRYFUM.com, and use code Rubin to get a free gift with your order today. And now back to me. Okay, so the liberals and the decent people and the centrists, and I really believe it, that is most of us. We may be a little more conservative sometimes, a little more liberal sometimes, but the bulk of Americans who think this thing is good, who'd like to continue it, who want borders and don't want to be a Muslim nation or don't want to have all our sons turn into daughters and everything else, we are the ones who have to unite right now. So I want to show you this video. This is interesting. Jerry Seinfeld, who created a career, a show about nothing. Jerry Seinfeld, who did stand-up, has done stand-up for over 40 years at this point. You never really knew his political beliefs on anything, right? What's the deal with lampshades, right? Like his whole thing was just about the minutia and the mundane of life. Suddenly, because post-October 7th, he went to Israel once and basically said Jews have a right to defend themselves. He seems to be public enemy number one for all these pro-Hamas people. Here he is in Australia destroying a pro-Hamas heckler at one of his stand-up routines. This is, I think, yesterday.
Yes. We have a genius, ladies and gentlemen. He solved the Middle East. He solved it. It's the Jewish comedians. That's who we have to get. They're the ones doing everything. Yeah, go ahead, keep going. They're going to start punching you in about 3 seconds, so I will try and get all of your genius out so we can all learn from you. It's a comedy show, you moron. Get out of here.
It's a comedy show, you moron. The reason I'm showing you that, first off, there's thousands of people, obviously, that paid for tickets, that want to hear Jerry, that want to laugh. I've seen him do stand-up live a couple of times. I did a couple shows with him years ago. He's incredible live, absolutely incredible live. He doesn't go off script that much, so that was a nice little moment. But what it really gets down to is these people. You have a student at Chicago University or University of Illinois talking about upending capitalism, ending America, blah, blah, blah. And then what they're also doing when they're out in the streets or they're going to public events and they're trying to ruin everything. Everywhere you go, you will go to a public park and you will see a sign for jihad. You will go to a stand-up show and some idiot will vent their feelings about genocide. Why are you going to a Jerry Seinfeld stand-up concert and doing that? But they think they own everything. And once we don't protect any of the goodness of the West, everything will be destroyed. Now, it's largely being destroyed, again, because this administration is absolutely incompetent. Ana Navarro from The View went on Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday night, and here she tried to defend the White House's actions as it pertains to Israel and what's going on with Jews who are a little concerned about the calling of jihad on the streets.
And people are forgetting that there is an administration in the White House right now that is every day trying to figure out a solution to this. And things would be far worse without Anthony Blinken, who's, I think, aged 20 years in the last 8 months, going out there on a daily basis trying to get a peace agreement.
Because it's coming from the left. Everything is team sports now. Are you kidding? If the people in Charlottesville who were chanting Jews won't replace us, I mean, that's bad. It's not as bad as death, too. I think death, that's not deplorable.
It's absolutely deplorable.
Okay, well, if one side is deplorables and the other side does something that's, I mean, if I was a Holocaust survivor, and I guess there's not many of those left, but if I was, I would choose Jews will not replace us over death to Zionists.
It's a hell of a choice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, Bill is right there. By the way, I grew up around a significant amount of Holocaust survivors through my family. We had family members that were lost in the Holocaust. But my Uncle Jerry's father, who had the number on his arm and everything, the tattoo on his arm, I think they would choose Jews will not replace us over death to all Zionists. By the way, not all Zionists are Jewish even. But okay, putting all of that aside, what she's trying to say there, Ana Navarro, is basically like, oh, he's been good. Joe Biden, look how Anthony Blinken, his name's Anthony, look how Anthony Blinken is working so hard. He's aged. And it's like, dude, you guys all could have ended this war on October 8th. All Joe Biden had to do was call up Qatar and say, we know where your billionaire founders of Hamas are. We know what hotel they're in. We are going to bomb the shit out of you unless you release the hostages. This thing could have all been over immediately. But for some reason, we seem in America, not we, the people, the administration seems to want perpetual war out of the Middle East. There are still 5 American hostages. Even if you don't give a shit about any of the Israeli hostages, there are 5 American hostages being held somewhere, maybe alive, maybe not, underground in Gaza. Shouldn't every American know their name? Shouldn't Joe Biden be talking about them every day? So no, Ana Navarro, Joe Biden has been absolutely horrible on this. But I don't blame Joe Biden because he has dementia and it's probably coming from Barack Obama. That's actually what's going on here. But okay, so people are waking up to that. And the other thing that I think people are waking up to is that the fake calls of racism and that you can say things, if you're this color, you can't say them. If you're this color, if you're this gender, you can say that. If you're that gender, you can't say this. If your genitals are confused, you can get away with that. Blah, 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 blah. People are not buying that bullshit anymore either. Here's another clip of Bill Maher, but this is on the Club Random podcast. He sat down with Larry Wilmore. Larry Wilmore, yes, he's a comic. There was a show called, it was the Nightly Show. I did it once on Comedy Central a couple of years ago. And here he is getting into some racial nonsense, and Bill's not having it.
I have a healthy outlook on this. I just view all white people as problematic. So it doesn't matter what party you're in. You know, there's just going to be...
And I know that's a joke, and you can make every joke in the world on it. I just want to point out that we do live in an era now where lots of stuff can't happen in reverse.
Yes.
Like I can't make that joke about you.
Right. Well, that's the top dog.
And I don't want to. Right. but I couldn't say what you said in reverse with black.
Sure, absolutely.
And there's lots of examples I could give of that.
Right.
And that's okay.
Now
I ain't mad at that. I'm just saying
you just can't say it in public.
I believe everything is in public now. What in the world is not in public?
That's true. But here's the thing. That's just the top dog underdog dynamic is what I call it. You know, like top dog underdog gets to make fun of top dog, but top dog
that's true.
can't make fun of underdog.
I tell you, I ain't mad at it.
So, but
it goes beyond that. Right. I mean, sometimes it's. You can find a lot of TikToks.
Yeah.
Of young.
A lot of TikToks.
Black women, usually women, but saying, I just can't deal with white people today.
You know, it's so interesting because Wilmore, when he says that I just view all white people as problematic, he does, and then he laughed, and you could see in that initial laugh, he was kind of guilty, but that is what he believes. That is what he believes. And then they make up their construct around how we're allowed to speak. Well, you're allowed to, if you're the top dog, you can't make fun of the bottom dog, and if you're the bottom dog, you make fun of the top dog. And it's like, okay, that's the way you've decided to live in this world. But you, Larry Wilmore, I think you're a TV star. You're probably worth millions of dollars. There you are hanging out with elite Hollywood celebrities. We're allowed to make fun of you. I'm not making fun of you because you're black. I'm making fun of you because your ideas are thin and stupid. And you don't get a force field because of the color of your skin. Like, that's not how it works. I see, it sort of does. Bill is sort of admitting, because he's kind of still in that world, he's admitting, well, I'll grant you a little bit of that, but I just have no desire to do that. But again, the reason I'm showing you that clip is because more people are seeing through it. Now I want to show you another video. This is a guy who I play clips of sometimes and I agree with him and then he can't quite get there, but I think we're going to get him there one of these days. This is Stephen A. Smith of ESPN. And now we're going to connect this to this whole Caitlin Clark fiasco out of the WNBA, because Caitlin Clark is white. And supposedly, or apparently she's straight. I don't care about her sexuality, but she's white and straight and she's an awesome basketball player. And the entire league and the media around her, everybody is trying to take her out because she's basically not a black lesbian. That pretty much is the bumper sticker on this thing. And here is Stephen A., who's waking up in so many ways, but here he is linking white supremacy and white supremacy and Trumpism to Caitlin Clark because she's white.
Because what has transpired, yes, Caitlin Clark is the name of the day to use, but there's a broader issue here that can't be escaped, and that is this. She is a white young lady, and she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not, even though their efforts have been worthy and deserving of being as celebrated, if not even more celebrated. And it's a reminder that no matter how far we believe that we have advanced as a society, there's still such a long way to go, because in the end, if you're white, you're bright, you're right, and as a result, the shine comes your way in the eyes of a lot of people in America. Let's transition. Very uncomfortable to touch on, but just factually correct. You have somebody that's a presidential candidate. What is his claim to fame? Make America great again. What have people interpreted that to mean? Make America white again. These are the things that critics have said.
Sorry, Stephen A., that's not what anyone means when they say make America great again. And having been to many Trump rallies and having met Trump at Mar-a-Lago and everything else, that's not what he means either. And you know that. You know that. And also this thing that she happens to be white, so she's becoming the star because white people have shininess and other people should have been, it doesn't, even if there was a degree of truth to that, that somehow that people are looking at her and they're like, this is the white girl we've been looking for to finally watch the WNBA. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But even if there was one degree of truth to that, it doesn't matter. You guys are getting a star right now. The WNBA has a seminal moment right now to not become something that loses millions and millions of dollars every year, which is what it's done since its inception about 30 years ago. It has lost millions I think around 50 million a year, if I'm not mistaken. It has lost, it's a crazed loss leader for the NBA, which foots the bill on this failed league, right? Now you have someone that is here, that is playing. It doesn't matter what skin color she is or who she sleeps with or anything else. And you people are still making it about race. It's just absolutely awful. You know, some people just have it. There's the it factor. Right? Some people, they walk into a room and everyone wants to be them and look at them and everything else. Donald Trump walks into a room, everyone sees him. It's an it factor thing. You could argue that Ron DeSantis didn't have the it factor thing, right? Michael Jordan had the it factor, right? My man Clyde the Glide. Can they see the ball? Is it a little out of frame today? It's almost there. Yeah. My favorite basketball player, and this was used in a 92 Blazers practice, was Clyde Drexler. He didn't quite have the it factor. He was an awesome basketball player, but they couldn't run an entire marketing campaign around a league around him, right? Caitlin's got the thing, and you morons are ruining it. And you're going to force her to retire early, or you're going to end up breaking her neck, which we'll get to in a second. But anyway, here's from the recount, just to show you how they are just endlessly tying Caitlin Clark into a bunch of shit that has nothing to do with nothing other, because the only thing people should be writing about her is that she's an awesome basketball player. Stephen A. Smith's comments come after Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark on Thursday condemned people online who invoke her name to push racism and misogyny and attack WNBA players. Guys, I've been on the internet a long time. I've been through these Twitter fights and everything else. Nobody's using her name to push racism or misogyny. You think people are like, "Riley, we finally got the white woman in the WNBA. White power. Soon we'll eliminate all of the black people from the league." It's absurd, but the politicization of everything outside of politics has ruined everything. It's ruined our institutions. It's ruined sports. And now if you want to see how it's really ruining it, you may remember last week we showed you a clip of where one of the players, Caitlin Clark, was just getting an inbound pass, and she just gets crushed. The ball wasn't even in play yet. This happened over the weekend. This is Angel Reese, a girl that no one would have heard of if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. Here she is basically trying to break Caitlin Clark's neck.
Yeah, that's right.
Reese is being reviewed for a possible upgrade to a playground.
Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor to review this.
All right, guys, again, I've played basketball my entire life. I know some people play a little cheaper, a little dirtier. Yes, there were the bad boy Pistons in the 90s, and they did some things to Jordan and all that. But there is a weird racial element to this. There's a weird sexuality element to this. They are trying to destroy their piece of gold. This is your chance, and you people are trying to... That could have ended her career right there. Could have broke her neck. Could have broke her hip when she fell. And they're just going to let this happen. And then the league also, the powers that be, did not put her on the Olympic team, did not put the best basketball player on the Olympic team. Imagine in 1992, if the league had been like, "Jordan, you're not going to be on the Olympic team. Could we get Bill Laimbeer? He's white. We're going to get Bill Laimbeer." Yeah. Anyway, the woman who hit her there is Angel Reese. And we showed you a video of Angel Reese last week. Angel Reese is relishing in the fact that she is now a villain as it pertains to Caitlin Clark.
And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And
yeah, you are the bad guy. She said that before that incident that we just showed you. That was this weekend. But she wants to be the bad guy. She will take out the straight white girl who is the superstar of superstars. Caitlin Clark, I'm talking directly to you right now. Leave the league. I kid you not. Leave the league. Start your own girls basketball league. Start your own girls basketball league. There will be so much money thrown at you. Don't do it for the money. But I mean, you will have all of the infrastructure you need and everything else. Yes, maybe you won't get the NBA arenas right now, but like start your own league and do it right, because this is a good woman, this Caitlin Clark. She is a good woman. Here she is after getting crushed and abused and the media is treating her horribly and everything. Here she is signing every single autograph after the game over the weekend. Look, she's just all class. She's trying very hard. And I just have look, when you see her face at the end, like they're going to suck every bit of joy out of this thing for her. You can just feel it. You can just absolutely feel it. They have ruined everything. As you guys know, I don't watch basketball anymore, which is my true love, even more than politics and everything else, because of how politicized it became, right? Because it was always about race and gender and being lectured and blah, blah, blah. And the players all seem selfish and all that stuff. And right now is the NBA Finals. I don't watch anymore. I think the Celtics are up 3-0. Is that right? And I'm rooting for the Celtics this year, I think, because didn't we agree on the show like a week ago for some reason, something about Boston? Anyway, good for the Celtics. That's nice. Does Kevin McHale still play for the Celtics? Anyway, there are two black coaches right now that are coaching. It's the Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. And here's Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla, who is an incredible coach from what I understand. Again, I don't watch that much, but he's got his team about to win an NBA championship. And he's being asked about being a black guy. And here we go.
Hey, Joe, Ben School with Yahoo Sports. For the first time since 1975, this is the NBA Finals where you have two black head coaches. Given the plight sometimes of black head coaches in the NBA, do you think this is a significant moment? Do you take pride in this? How do you view this, or do you not see it at all?
I wonder how many of those have been Christian coaches. David Aldridge?
An interesting answer, because what he's basically saying is, hey, I don't really care about my skin color. The thing that defines me, as I understand it, what he's saying is I'm a Christian, and you can take some, you can glean some knowledge when I say that, meaning I have a set of beliefs, I have a set of values, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you guys ever ask me about that? Instead, you only ask about my skin color, which is immutable, which is unimportant. But you guys are focusing, and they talk about the plight of black coaches in the NBA as if, okay, so is the NBA discriminating against black coaches? Like, what are you people saying? Does the NBA, what percentage of the NBA is white? Let me get a percentage. I'm going to guess around maybe 15%, something like that. Ballpark it. What do you think? 16%. Well, that's not bad. 16%. Is that because the NBA is discriminating against white people? Most of the country still is white. But anyway, all of this is just theatrics around what really are the problems. The problems are that they lie about the good people. The entire system lies about good people, and it runs cover for bad people. So now I want to connect this to something else going on with Trump right now, because I mentioned last week that David Sachs, who's a friend of mine who was one of the founders of PayPal originally, the original COO of PayPal, and he's been on the show a couple times. He's co-host of the All In podcast, and one of his co-hosts is another giant tech billionaire superstar, Chamath Palihapitiya, and he was at the fundraiser that Sachs held at his house for Trump last week in San Francisco. And Chamath, who's a liberal, I think he's largely a Democrat, certainly not a Republican, not a Trump supporter. He met Trump, and listen to his takeaway.
Give you two observations. The first is that I think that there is a huge gap between how the media tries to portray Donald Trump and what he's like when you meet him in person. And that gap is really wide. And so I would say specifically to Democrats and independents, you really do need to sit in the room and feel what it's like. David is right. He is charismatic. He's intellectually sharp, and he's funny. And when you put that together, he can engage an audience for a long time and be totally extemporaneous. The other thing I would say that he is very polite, and he's kind in a way that was disarming and was not what I expected. And so I felt that I had misjudged him many years in the past. And then about the substance, what I would say is it was not just a pro-America agenda, but it's very clear that he was pro-innovation. So he was really supportive of AI in the details that he talked about. He was very supportive of crypto in those details. And he's very much low regulation, low taxation. And so when you put that together, it does stand very much in contrast with what the alternative is. And so I think that both of those things are a reason why, even if you aren't willing to vote for him, I would encourage everybody to experience what it's like to hear him.
So that right there is the thing that I'm constantly talking about right now, right? So what does he say? So he's polite, he's charming, he's funny, fine. Then he's pro-innovation, fine. That's something that Chamath cares about, okay, right? Because he's a tech guy. But what he's basically saying at the end, you might not vote for him, but maybe listen to him or something. These are the people that will decide this next election. And what one of the problems is that a huge amount of those people are still confused by some of the lies. So let's jump to this tweet from End Wokeness, because the Very Fine People hoax has been making the rounds again. I want to show you something really interesting here. So End Wokeness, on August 15th, 2017, Trump called neo-Nazis very fine people after Charlottesville, right? Wrong. The media deceptively cut out the context of his remarks where he specifically said he was not referring to neo-Nazis. Instead, he was referring to the people who opposed tearing down American statues. Now, you guys know that, but what I want you to do is stand in someone else's shoes for just a moment. There are a whole bunch of people still now, it may sound crazy to you, oh my God, they still believe that hoax from 8 years ago. They still believe that thing. How could that be 7 years ago? But they do, because mainstream media has lied to people for so long. So now let's show you the actual video from 2017 after Charlottesville.
That were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
All right, so that's the line. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists because they should be condemned completely. Why is it that that did not make it on CNN for years and probably still has not been on CNN? Why is that I would bet my life that that has never been on an MSNBC and that Washington Post and New York Times and all of that? It was 2 sentences later. And they created a giant hoax to the point that Joe Biden's campaign launch video, when he decided he was running for president, they said was because it's Joe Biden saying, I ran because Donald Trump said there are very fine people on both sides. He was talking about the debate around what you do with statues of controversial figures. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you that is that Chamath, who we just showed you that video of, who is again, I think a lifelong liberal lefty, not a Republican. Here he is now admitting, basically, and a few other people now realizing that that hoax was one of the things that kept them away from Trump in the first place. So he tweeted out a clip of the very fine people hoax, and he wrote yet another reminder that it's more important than ever to think for oneself and think from first principles. And now I want to show you another guy, big tech guy, waking up. We've shown you some videos and some tweets of his. Bill Ackman, he is another liberal, lefty, Democrat. And now he also is admitting that he got it wrong. Agreed. Until I watched this video, I thought real Donald Trump was referring to the neo-Nazis based on the press that I had read and other media. He sent that out yesterday. Here you have a pretty bright guy. These are billionaire tech guys. Just because you're a billionaire and just because you're a tech guy doesn't mean you get everything. But now we have this set of people who are not traditional conservatives, not traditional Republicans. And they're going, holy cow, I've really been lied to. And dare I show you a video of Dave Rubin on Real Time about 8 months ago, debunking it on mainstream media to, well, a Democrat consultant who is one of the prime purveyors of these types of lies.
What would good people on both sides of Charlottesville? I don't know. Did I hear that or did I make that up? That Trump said there are good people on both sides.
He didn't say that.
He did not. He
said it, but a sentence later he said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis.
Well, yeah, it's like Elon Musk.
It was badly phrased. I think we can agree on that.
No, it wasn't badly phrased, Bill. I'm working on Bill, so I'll give you a little slide on that. But you see what happens with these people when they're confronted by reality. So he's trying to make a point. Donald Trump thinks that white supremacists are good people. And all I said was, oh, well, actually, the sentence later, he condemned them. That's all they've got. So what we need to do right now is be gracious to the people like Chamath and to Bill Ackman. And as frustrating as it might be, and they're late to the party and all of that stuff, we have to open up the lanes so that they can get to the promised land. That's what we've got to do right now. And of course, we also have to do that with other communities, let's say, who are not traditionally Republican voters. When we played you that video a few minutes ago of Steve Harvey and Kamala Harris, he's saying, well, the black people better get some stuff from you guys and the Republicans aren't going to give us anything else. Well, here is a Detroit pastor who happens, it's a largely black church, and Donald Trump went to visit. And this isn't going to be on CNN or MSNBC either.
President Trump, I'm so humbled that you would be here. President Obama never came to the hood, so to speak, right? President Joe Biden, he went to the big NAACP dinner, but he never came to the hood. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Very humble, really nice. Thank you. My honor.
All right, so you think Donald Trump hates these people? You think Donald Trump hates black people? I don't think so. I think everyone knows he doesn't in reality. But again, we're watching people wake up in real time, no pun intended. Donald Trump's got some other interesting things going on. Here he is vowing to cut federal funding for any schools pushing wokeness and vaccine mandates. Hallelujah.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men out of women's sports.
Imagine if you had told the founders of the country that it would be 2024, the country would be about 250 years old, and the guy running for president would have to say that they want to keep men out of women's sports. First, they might think it's funny that women are playing sports in the first place. That might be interesting, but that men are like, it's just so wild. But in any event, yes, that he will not fund the things that are destroying society. So that is good. And he also has another interesting idea. I don't know that this one could really come to fruition, but check out this tweet from Thomas Massie. Most intriguing policy idea from the GOP meeting at the Capitol Hill Club this morning. Trump briefly floated the concept of eliminating the income tax and replacing it with tariffs. Now, look, I have no idea if that could happen. The amount of pushback that he would get from whatever you want to call it, the deep state and everything else, would be bananas. But imagine if you just got your check, right? You work for somebody, you get your check, and the federal government has not taken any money at the end of the year. And if you live in a state that doesn't have income tax, now you've got all your money. So how is the government going to generate revenue? Well, Trump is saying, well, it can be done by tariffs. That means if goods are coming in from other countries, we put a tax on them. That'll increase the price of them, so you'll have to pay a little bit more from these stuff, but that might encourage some making more stuff in the United States, which we used to do. But you would have more of your money. The government would take less. Now, I know that's not what Steve Harvey wants, because he wants the government to take from some and give to others. But wouldn't it be better if the government just took less from everybody in the first place and then tightened its belt and figured out what was what? Well, now I want to connect this to what's going on across the pond, because Nigel Farage, who was the guy who made Brexit happen when everyone said Brexit couldn't happen, he's getting involved in politics again, and he's got a Trumpian, I would say, aura around him. This is from NBC News. Brexit champion Nigel Farage to run in UK election after all, the latest blow to Prime Minister Sunak. Farage said he'll run in the seaside town of Clacton-on-Sea in his 8th attempt to win a seat in the House of Commons. So here's just like a little funny video of him basically announcing that he's running again.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Back again. Back again.
Okay, so the reason I'm showing you this is that the populist thing that we see happening in America is happening all over Europe right now. And it's happening, and it happened in Argentina with Milei, it happened in El Salvador with Bukele, it happened with Geert Wilders in the Netherlands. Like, there's something happening right now where people who are all thought of as right-wing maniacs and far-right and everything else, they're like, oh, we kind of like our countries, we'd like to have borders, we don't want an invasion, we'd like some law and order, and they're gaining momentum, right? That's what's happening right now. There was a debate that Farage was involved in on Friday, and listen to the stuff that he's talking about and tell me this is not exactly what we need here in the United States too, and kind of the same thing that Donald Trump is running on.
Your 2015 manifesto, your 2017 manifesto said you'd reduce net migration to tens of thousands. Your 2019 manifesto said immigration would massively reduce, and that net 4.3 million people have come into the country since that time. Why on earth should anybody believe the fifth manifesto that promises cuts to net migration?
Because of the record of this Prime Minister. So we've had...
Unlike the rest, I don't need a script. I've come out of retirement, back into politics, with passion in my heart. And I'll tell you, Britain is broken, everyone knows it, and Britain needs reform. The election is over under our system. We know that Keir Starmer's going to win and probably have quite a big majority. The question is, who will lead the opposition? Because for democracy to work, there has to be a voice of opposition. And I put it to you that Ed Davey of the Liberal Democrats won't do that, because he actually agrees with Labour on most things. Rishi Sunak won't do it. Well, he'll probably be in California by then. Anyway, And the Tory party is split down the middle and about to implode in this election. I say to you, I will stand up against open borders. I will stand up and say those that come illegally across the channel should be deported. I will stand up and fight for the millions of men and women running small businesses. I have the courage to take on the mob. Please join the revolt.
Thank you.
Isn't that exactly what Trump is standing for here, right? I'm going to stand up to the mob. I'm going to close the borders. We're going to help small businesses like man of the people. That's what populism is. And again, we're seeing it kind of bubble up, and the system is freaking out because the last thing that the system wants is you to think that you have some autonomy over your life in the country that you live in. I want to show you another moment with Farage talking about patriotism, which has been sorely lacking in the UK as they've basically been invaded.
Can I ask you, do you think then that you are more patriotic than the other party leaders?
Without a doubt.
What's your evidence for that?
D-Day. D-Day does it for me. I mean, it's very interesting.
I did say I did say the other party leaders.
Yeah,
and I'm putting you're here as a party leader. We will be speaking to all the party leaders. You are sitting here saying, hold on, let me just finish the question if I may. You are saying you are more patriotic than any of the other party leaders who are standing in this general election. On what basis?
I wouldn't take my poppy off out of embarrassment, because that's what Keir Starmer did last year. Please ask him when he's here, why at one point in the morning is he wearing a poppy, and at another moment, speaking to a Muslim community, he takes the poppy off.
And that is your evidence for saying you're more patriotic?
I reckon that's pretty strong, don't you?
It actually is pretty strong. I would also argue that his leading of Brexit, which the whole purpose of Brexit was to get out of the EU so that people in Brussels wouldn't be having decision-making power over the people in the UK, that would probably be something that would be thought of as pretty patriotic. Now, unfortunately, Brexit hasn't worked out the way that he wanted, because then subsequent prime ministers have allowed in literally millions and millions of people from the Middle East and Africa, and the UK has a massive problem on his hands. Last time I went to London, you will see more women in burqas than you will in non-burqas, regular Western clothes. That is a bit of a problem for the average British person. Let's jump to the border a little bit over there to France. You can get through the Channel. You can go right from London to Paris. Marine Le Pen she is thought of as this scary far-right person. She is now the leader of the biggest party in France and likely the next prime minister. And listen to this speech that she's given. She wants to return France to French people. How radical and right-wing can you get?
Garder sur notre territoire des étrangers qui collaborent avec une idéologie totalitaire qui veut la mort des Français. Les binationaux en lien avec l'idéologie islamiste doivent être déchus de leur nationalité et expulsés. Les Français qui adoptent l'idéologie de l'ennemi doivent être traduits devant les tribunaux et punis. Les lois existent, il suffit de les appliquer. Eh bien, moi, Présidente, ces lois seront appliquées sans faiblir. En quelques semaines, je vous le promets, la France aura pris toutes les dispositions nécessaires pour se mettre à l'abri des fichiers S et en totale conformité avec notre état de droit. Les mosquées radicales seront fermées, les prêcheurs de haine expulsés, les associations faunées du salafisme et des frères musulmans seront dissoutes. Avec moi, ayez la certitude que les droits des femmes aujourd'hui contestés par l'obscurantisme islamiste seront garantis à toutes les femmes de France. Avec moi, la sécurité n'ira pas à l'encontre de la liberté, en tout cas de la liberté des honnêtes gens.
All right, for those of you that are not native French speakers who are listening on the audio podcast, in essence, she said, we are going to boot the Islamists. We are going to close the radical mosques and the preachers. We are going to kick out the Muslim Brotherhood. We are going to make France safe for women again. At the end, she said, and we are not going to step on anybody's liberty when we do it. So think about this. They have a massive problem in France because of their unlimited immigration situation. And they have Islamists taking over the streets. And what it causes is crime and a whole bunch of other problems. And that the average French person sees their country disappearing. Well, that's the exact same thing happening in the UK. And we need only link that to that video I showed you of the student at the University of Illinois. It's happening in America right now. Am I making it up? No. We just showed you evidence of it. You can look at all the evidence of Hamas supporters rampaging through the streets of our blue cities. So we're just behind them unless we deal with it now. And I think that probably is the greatest argument for Trump, because otherwise it will just happen, and it'll be 5 years from now, and we're going to be dealing with the exact same stuff that they're dealing with over there. But because people are waking up, there is something interesting happening. Check this out from Sahil Kapoor. Mass deportation is now popular. A majority of registered voters, this is here in America, favor a, quote, new national program to deport all undocumented immigrants currently living in the U.S. illegally, 62% to 38%. A majority of Hispanics favor mass deportation, 53 to 40%, and that's per CBS News and a YouGov America poll. Look, as I always say with this, and I'll probably have to stop saying it so I don't become a broken record, we can all argue about, okay, you've been here for a while, you have family, you've been working, paying taxes, blah, 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 but you did come illegally. Like, we can all have the whatever sane conversation, what you do about otherwise law-abiding people who have become parts of societies and maybe got married and had kids and all that. But what this is really boiling down to is everyone has seen the videos now, and we have absolutely had it. And we showed you 2 stories earlier of illegals from El Salvador who killed a woman in Connecticut and who killed a mother of 5 in Maryland. And why will you not see that story likely on the front of NBC Nightly News tonight? That really is the question. Of course, what this is also connected to is that the Democrats, as they lose the minority communities, they've got to replace them. And when you replace them, what would you want? Well, you would want people to be able to vote without showing an ID, and perhaps you would also want electronic voting, which couldn't be tracked. Check this out from Leading Report. Breaking. Elon Musk calls for electronic voting machines to be eliminated. Musk tweet. We should eliminate electronic voting machines. The risk of being hacked by humans or AI while small is too high. So here you have the leading tech guy, renaissance man of our time, saying maybe we should rely a little less on technology as it pertains to voting. Going in California where I did it, you just swipe something like on an iPad and it's like, did that register with anything? Is this connected to the internet? Oh, it is connected to the internet. Could anyone hack into this thing? Could I get a paper trail on this thing? Versus Florida, where you show an ID, you get a piece of paper, you put it in a folder, you confirm that with somebody, you put it into a box itself. It's just so obvious. So, of course, all of this is to the backdrop of a big election that we've got coming in November, and people are worried about shenanigans, and perhaps, I'm very glad to see this story, and I really hope this is legit and will come to fruition. Again, from Colin Rugg, just in, Lara Trump is reportedly building an army of 100,000 poll watchers and 500 lawyers to deploy across America for the 2024 election. The announcement comes as Lara Trump held a speech in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I believe if we have a free, fair, and transparent election, there is no question that when the votes are counted, we're going to go to bed early on November 5th, she said. We're going to wrap this up so that everybody gets a good night's sleep and we'll go to bed knowing that Donald Trump is our next president. But what we need to ensure is integrity in our electoral process. So I have to say I'm very happy about that, because one of my concerns around Trump as the nominee was that they were not going to do the legwork that the Dems are always doing, the mail-in ballots and all of the batch voting and all of that stuff and the drop boxes, blah, blah, blah. But if Republicans are going to do some of the legwork, and that means physical people at these places and everything else, then maybe we will all feel better about the results, and we won't go into it's 3 weeks after the election. Who's the president-elect again? Let's see what's going on. And the point of the show today, guys, is that if we stay determined, if we keep our eye on the ball, if we believe that what we've had in these Western countries is good and it's worthy of continuing, then we will figure out a way to continue it. I leave you with Tom Brady.
I would encourage everyone to play football for the simple reason that it is hard. It's hard when you're young to wake up in the off season at 6 a.m. to go train and work out, knowing that all your friends are sleeping in and eating pancakes. It's hard when you're on your way to practice, weighed down with all your gear, and it's 90 degrees out and all the other kids are at the pool or at the beach, and your body is already completely exhausted from workouts in 2-a-days. It's hard to throw, catch, block, and tackle, and hit kids when they're way bigger and way more developed than you, only to go home that night bruised and battered and strained, but knowing you have to show up again the next day for just the chance to try again. But understand this, life is hard. No matter who you are, there are bumps and hits and bruises along the way. And my advice is to prepare yourself, because football lessons teach us that success and achievement come from overcoming adversity, and that team accomplishment far exceeds anyone's individual goals. To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts. If you look at all my teammates here tonight, it would be impossible to find better examples of men who embody that work ethic, integrity, purpose, determination, and discipline that it takes to be a champion in life.
That might be a future president right there. But that's the point, guys. This fight that we are up against in the West right now, like, this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy electorally. It's not going to be easy on the ground. We are fighting bad ideas. We're fighting bad systems. We're fighting institutions that are corrupt. We're fighting a media that will lie directly to our face over and over and over and over and over again. So we got a whole bunch of stuff. But if we are determined, if we're forthright, if we do something because it's the right thing to do for the right reasons, I actually think perhaps we can win. That would be my Monday thought for you. Guys, my full interview, we're changing up our interview release schedule starting this week. My full interview with Riley Gaines, who is just spectacular. You know, she was the female swimmer, or she's a swimmer who happens to be a female, who was going against Will, what do we call him, Will, right? Will, what the hell's his last name? Will Thomas, Leah Thomas, Will Thomas, blah, blah, blah. And now has just become just an incredible advocate for girls and girl sports, and especially to the backdrop of the Caitlin Clark story. I think you'll really enjoy the interview. That'll be out tonight at 7:45 on all platforms, and it's already out on Locals. So the interviews will always be out earlier on Locals and absolutely ad-free if you'd like to join us over there. And we've got a post-game show in about 30 seconds, rubinreport.locals.com. Is this our longest show in show history? 1 hour and 17 minutes. Hot damn, people, go do something productive. For God's sakes, we leave you with Kamala Harris. Bye.
So the importance of community banks is they are, as they are called, they're in the community, led by members of the community. They are people who understand the capacity of the community, the needs of the community, the culture of the community.